Okay, in this tutorial, I'm going to go through the process of calculating the yield, mean, and median values for a irrigation sector polygon. And so I want to go through creating that irrigation sector polygon first, and then do the calculations. And so, if you reviewed previous sessions, you know that I have to get the centroid and the radius of the polygon that I want to create, and then I can build that process. So I'm going to go through that steps here real quick for you. I'm going to zoom into this area, and I'm going to identify and or hover. Again, I can do either or, hover over that centroid or do identify, and I can calculate my latitude and longitude values. So I'm just going to record the values here for the centroid here, and then I'm going to use my distance tool, and I'm going to grab the distance here, and if I want, I can turn on my yield data to kind of get a sense of how far I want to go out. And so let's just kind of go out to right about there. That looks like about 406 feet. So I've recorded my my centroid and my radius. Now I'm going to build out my my irrigation sectors. So I'm going to close this out, change my selector back here. Let's zoom out. Let's use this fixed zoom out here a little bit. There we go. And let's turn off that yield point layer and go to my catalog, go to my tools, and find my sector management and say build irrigation sectors. So I got to find the route to my geodatabase. So here we're talking about Sun Valley. So we'll go to my folder structure, farms, Sun Valley. That's my route to my geodatabase. And we'll give this a name. I don't know what call this. We'll call it Pivot 1 for lack of a better name. Coordinate system is Idaho Central in this case. And then record my latitude and longitude. So just take those numbers that I wrote down earlier and place them in here. There's my longitude, put my latitude in here, 607795. Put my radius in here, this is 406 feet. And for this, I'm going to build 2-degree sectors. And then we just hit OK. All right, so it finished, and I got a little funky going. I recorded the wrong radius, and so let's do that again, and you'll notice that actually let's go ahead and clean this up. So I'm going to right click. If this ever happens, I'm going to right click. I'm going to remove it from my table of contents. Come over here to my my data set and just right click and delete, because we're going to start over again. Okay, so let's use my measurement tool and let's go out here and find the distance again. And you can see we're in meters, which is not good. So let's change this to distance. I'm going to go feet. So then we'll come out here and say, oh, that's about 1,300 and let's just go 30 feet. That'll give me plenty of room out there to make sure I get everything. And we'll run that process one more time. Get to see this happen twice, which is good. All right, build irrigation. Let's go to the root of my Sun Valley. Let's go to my pivot name. Give this pivot 1. Coordinate system is Idaho Central. The latitude longitude still worked out really well for me, so let's go and redo those. 1605564 and 607795, and let's put in there 1,330 feet, and let's build a 2-degree sector and hit OK. All right, that turned out much better. So now I've got my I'll use my pan tool here. Let's pan up a little bit. I've got my sector, my pivot, irrigation sectors, my pivot here. I can right click, open the attributes to make sure everything's good. Now remember, the very first thing I have to do when I create a new irrigation sector polygon is to calculate my unique IDs. And again, I can get rid of these other fields here if I don't want them. But hold the control button down and double click on top of that record title there and get rid of those. It's not deleting them, it's just hiding them from my table view. And so the next step I'm going to do is go down here to my calculate unique IDs, pick my pivot, hit OK. And in the next patch update for the tools, I'll combine those two scripts together. I separated them out earlier for other purposes, but there's no need to have them separated out. So look for a patch update for that in the future. Okay, so that completed. That took about 23 seconds for 2-degree sectors there. We hit close. I'll right click, open up the attribute table just to validate. I got unique IDs. All right, so now at this point, I've got my yield data. I got my pivot and my 2-degree sector data, and now I need to calculate my yield, mean, and median values. And so the next step I'm going to do in the process here is open up my sector processing toolbox. And the one in there right now is calculate yield values. It's pretty straightforward. All I'm going to do is execute this dialog box. I picked my irrigation sector layer, which is pivot 1. I picked my yield readings layer, which is called yield point. And I grab my yield field out of there, which is actual yield. And then I hit OK. And you can see it's going through there and it's calculating and spitting out information of how many points it found and so on and so forth. And we'll just let that run for a while. It's got to go through each 2-degree sector. I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, so that finished. Took just under a minute to finish. So if I close that out and right click back on my irrigation sector polygon and open up attributes, I should now see in here my yield mean and yield median values calculated for each sector. Now, there's still some improvements I have to do to the scripts. I have to put in here the start and end degree values and things like that, and some other stuff. But that'll get you the mean values for yield at this point. And if I need to export that out, I just right click and I can export that out into a different format file like a text file and so on and so forth. So there you go.